Ready to go for round 2 in the regional championships on the road to the Porsche Esports Supercup. Europe and Asia Pacific up this weekend, and first Europe heads to the circuit Magny-Cours, expecting this to be one where passing will be at a premium and therefore qualifying as ever going to be important. Our junior Kangi party alongside of Paul Smith. And Paul, last time we visited Magny-Cours was all the way back in, I want to say 2024. We saw a little bit of chaos and carnage at a track where we know, through the years, both in real and virtual racing, like I said, passing is going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be a premium, that's for sure, but that's where maybe people will have to force opportunities and try things different than what they would normally do. But certainly Magny-Cours, a bit of a different test to last week, a bit wider for the drivers as well, so there's a little bit of room to breathe.
And a new challenge in this year's format. If you're new, if you're returning to the Porsche Esports Supercup, let's dive into what to expect.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are 2 ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The regional championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
Still a long way to go for these drivers, but starting last week at Imola, Charlie Collins off the line from pole position. Not really challenged after he converted pole to the lead of the race with plenty of argy-bargy behind. Luca Alpert, one that saw himself forced off the road. Sebastian Joe found himself in the thick of the fighting, including at the race start when he got shuffled out with a little bit of contact with his teammate, but a decent recovery drive up through the field saw him slot into the top 10. A little bit more contact down for Ganosa Tazdelin in the grid and go number 14, and it saw the doors open one by one. Drivers picked their way through, including Sebastian Joe on that recovery drive. All of this action really did show the difficulty, even with ABS. A little bit easier to maybe follow close through these corners, to make moves, and down into Aqua Minerale. The team games helping out there as Lucas Camba Moreira found the door blocked by the EMM Esport Green. Purple and orange reign supreme. Charlie Collins wins the first round of the season. Here's a look at the points in the Asia Pacific region, where Coanda Esports on top with Dane Warren. However, it's still effectively the results of the opening round, Paul, and so still a long way to go for these drivers as they work now into France.
Yeah, there's another 4 weeks of the championship for the drivers to contend with, and basically, if you did have a bad round last time out, it's still plenty of time to get it. But it is a short season, relatively speaking, so you don't want any bad rounds at all, do you?
No, definitely not. And you look at these points, you don't see in the Asia Pacific region in particular, one driver is already down to minus 10 points, and that puts yourself right on the back foot to open things up. Got plenty of returning drivers, though, of course, in the European region. As Paul, as we mentioned last week, this is a field that in many ways feels worthy of a world championship. And so one of the storylines coming into the season and indeed into week number 2 is the prestige at the top, with the top 8 drivers split across 3 teams, Coanda Esports and then the partnership between Red Bull and the Verstappen Sim Racing. Coanda winning 3 of the 4 regional races in the first week as well. It came out swinging. It's time to see what Verstappen Sim Racing can do in response.
Well, we heard from Sebastian Job, didn't we, that Coanda seemed to have found something that other teams hadn't, so we'll be looking forward to seeing what they can do. But it is those three teams at the top of the standings that really have dominated. It's shown what level that they're all working at between those ones. As I was mentioning as well, you don't need to lose sight of that goal, though. It's only the first week that we've had so far. There's still opportunities to score plenty of points in this one. So if you did get not the best result last time out, don't give up. There's plenty more opportunities. You don't need to do anything rash at all this week.
Can think of it more like a group stage than a knockout fixture, if you will. But as we head back to Manicourt, expecting this to be one where track knowledge is to be a premium at a track that has not been raced very much in official racing, and I'm expecting these drivers to have minimal laps of preparation. It's seen a Porsche Carrera Cup France. This past week, in fact, it saw the stage start of the Tour de France. Slightly different race start that we're about to see, though, as we get set to go racing here for the second of our 5 European Championship rounds. Let's continue to work through, though, things that you should know, including our Loctite race analysis. 30 minutes, no planned pit stops in that race, and so the standing start after qualifying going to be crucial. And we said the field's as competitive as benefits a World Championship, but only 8 drivers, Paul, are going to move themselves forward.
Yeah, you've got to get into that top 8. At the end of the day, that is the goal that everybody wants here, out of not just this race, but the whole season of these qualifiers. It's been hyper intense. It's really been great to watch as well, and I'm sure that this one will be a great one as well.
Talk us through, Paul, our venue today.
Yep, so as you say, earlier this week it was pedal power, not horsepower, but we're back behind the wheels of these Porsches. 2.7 miles, 4.1 kilometres, it's a 17-turn course. Major events around here, GT World Challenge, formerly the venue of the French Grand Prix. I believe it was 1992, 93, I think was the first Grand Prix held here. A very flat track, though. There's very little undulation in this venue, so drivers won't have to contend with any lumps or bumps quite like they would at other venues. But certainly it is a great challenge for these drivers, but it's going to be, as we've been talking all along, it's going to be passing at a premium.
I have it as 1991 as the first Formula One Grand Prix, running all the way through to 2014. But like you say, a relatively smooth track. Track limits might end up being a discussion, but not in the way that you traditionally think. That's to come in the 30-minute race. If you want to learn more about the series, including the global open qualifiers that have already taken place, scan the QR code on your screen, because who knows, roll around next year, you could be on your way to the Porsche Esports Supercup and potentially into that talent shootout as well, to follow in the pathway of the likes of a Joshua Rogers racing in the Porsche Sprint Challenge UK. Qualifying already, by the way, has officially come to a close, with all drivers having used their qualifying lap times, only 22 times on the board. Back-to-back weeks, Charlie Collins is on pole position. Before we talk about that, though, let's talk about the schedule, where we've still got left to go in the 3 remaining rounds of the series. Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya to come in a couple of weeks, and then trips to the Hockenheim Ring and the Red Bull Ring. Should be fun, Paul, but I'm very curious how these drivers are starting to strap themselves in for the one-lap shootout that is qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be getting more and more intense as we go through the season, and Catalunya, again, another track that doesn't always produce the most overtaking. Either Hockenheim, a difficult challenge for a few of the drivers out there with that completely different layout to how it used to be, and the Red Bull Ring. There's only about 4 proper corners on that track, isn't there now? Nowadays in the world of motorsport, when you compare to how it used to be. But yeah, a great high-speed attack to end the season off.
You're going to get me on my high horse about corner numbers at the Red Bull Ring, that is for sure. Just look at the tracks that we visit across the slate of regions, by the way, and all building up to the start of the 2026 Porsche Esports Supercup later on this year. We'll know the 32 drivers on August the 29th that have punched their ticket into the main championship, and from there, 5 will be taken into that talent shootout. Not guaranteed, of course, to be the champion. Back-to-back pole positions for Charlie Collins. This time, just a 100th of a second split him from his teammate Tristan Iglesias as once more Coanda Esports run strong in qualifying, but Verstappen Sim Racing and Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing have found something as they lock out row 2. Here's the pole lap brought to you by TDK and fast flowing entry at 215 kilometers an hour into this opening sector. Paul, talk us through the lap.
Yeah, down 2 gears, get a wide, sort of V off that turn 3, use all of the track and then some on the exit. Through 4, down towards Adelaide, then the first of the tight hairpins at this track. Find yourself a brake marker and then hit it every single time. Get the car way down on the nose into the hairpin. Don't let it run too far wide on corner exit. Then you're going to go through this little kink that's a nothing corner and then into this right-left at Nürburgring. Through, up over the curb, use all of the curb on the left, use all of the runoff that you're allowed to use. Remember, iRacing track limits at play. And then our second hairpin, a bit of a longer sweeping hairpin this time. Over the curb on the right-hand side to get the power on as soon as possible. Keep the car over to the left now as you're going to hit a little bit of a braking zone through the right. And then you've got a little bit of an uphill here, up over the curb to the left. Car over to the left-hand side, hard onto the brakes for this tight right-hander. Hook the inside, then let the car just drift out on power. Keep it over to the left-hand side, however, because you're going through this long sweeping left-hander into a braking zone for a couple of tight corners to finish off the lap. Through that right-hander, use all of the runoff then, and then fly over the curbs to finish off the lap.
And last time the series was here, it was 2023. My mental memory was wrong. It was Charlie Collins, your main race winner. 2 main race wins, 3 career pole positions on his way back now to the Porsche Esports Supercup. Up front alongside of teammate Tristan Iglesias, while Florian Lebiger and Sebastian Jobe bring the fight to the purple and orange. Back in row number 3 to find Lewis Bailica and then Jerome Fisher, the 14-year-old for EMM Esports, Luke McEwen and Diogo Pinto, former champion, 7th and 8th positions respectively. Raphael Renhofer recently moved to the Nürburgring to start an internship with Manthey Racing. He's alongside of the privateer Alessandro Bico. Martin Kadlicic won a championship this past week. We'll talk about that in a couple of moments' time. Luca Alper rolls alongside in 12th. Henry Moore, Jamie Fluke, 13th and 14th. Noah Eder and Daniel Ola, 15th and 16th. Now, just under 8/10 off of the pole time. Frank Lichka, Ollie Schultz, and then Roger Christensen and Will Chadwick roll through the top 10 rows. Lucas Camarero, Vitaly Yolkin, Alejandro Sanchez, the first of those with no times on the board and lots of work for him to do after finishing 3rd last time out. Ganosa Tazdelen alongside in 24th position, and then just a handful more. Jesse Eliho, Ethan Bernard, and Samuele Spezio. Slightly smaller field, Paul. Hopefully, a little less chaos on our run through the opening corners than we saw in the Asia-Pacific region a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, this is Porsche Supercup qualifiers. You're asking for less chaos? Come on. You've seen how tightly they're all competing out there on track. We saw how close the lap times were. I mean, less than a 10th of a second covering the first 3 drivers on the grid. So you can throw a piece of paper over them as to how close they are. But for me, Charlie Collins, if he can get that good launch off the pole position, he's in for another good shout at another win here.
Martin Kadlicic just crowned the 2026 Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series champion. He'll get his own chance at going real to virtual down a slightly different path, but that second path with Porsche still presents an opportunity. Lights will come up, and for the second time in this regional championship, Europe is go from the Circuit Magny Core, and a decent start from the front row as Coanda will now try and slot in 1 and 2. They've done so alongside of Lebiger and Jobe, slotting into 3rd and 4th position. Single file inside of the top 15 or so as we run through the long right-hander. No surprise there, but it will be the challenge now up into the heavy braking zone at the hairpin. Adelaide, where we expect some drama, we expect a bit of chaos. It looks orderly, it looks relatively restrained. The top 4 with a 6/10 of a second gap back to Jerome Fisher, defending from Luke McEwen in the Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing car. Slow things down long way around for Florent Lebigra, not quite working out for the Frenchman. Can't believe I'm saying this, Paul. 27 cars have fired through the opening sector all right.
Give them plenty of chance as they go through then. But Lebigra is the one who's been really putting the pressure on Tristan Iglesias at the start of this race. And well, you went and spoilt it, didn't you? And that's Sanchez and Christensen, who are off at the back of the field. So it goes from bad to worse for Alejandro Sanchez at the back. But Lebigra's really been looking keen behind Tristan Iglesias, as now one of the other Coanda cars has just lost a position to Luke McEwen with Diogo Pinto going around the outside.
Surely not. He's going to have to tuck back in eventually as they string 2x2 through. A couple more issues down through the field. They survived the opening sector safely, at least, will be my claim. A little bit of a charm down the inside as Spezio tries to recover and pick up the pieces. Will lose out to Roger Christensen. Let's pick back up Luke McEwen, slotting in front to Diogo Pinto. Luis Bielica now defends from Rafael Renhofer, and Alessandro Bico, who's left himself on the inside as they head up into a long third gear right-hander, and he's going to block pass himself through. Opens the door for Renhofer to follow, and he's going to now leave just enough racing room. This is where, remember, green and pink machines, slightly different colours, but all working within the same camp, as Renhofer has got Kadlicic now behind him, door banging down to the hairpin.
Bielica has been bullied out of the way, offline. Oh, there's a car spun around at the hairpin. Don't say that that's going to be someone like Jamie Fluke, is it? Car 29. It is. Oh, my goodness, Jamie. Well, wrong place, wrong times. I saw somebody on that high shot just coming absolutely steaming in to the hairpin, and I just knew the inevitable would happen.
It reminded me of what happened between, I think it was Johan Harth and Zach Campbell back in 2023. This is what happened on the opening lap. Sanchez, just wrong place, wrong time, as Taz Dillon loses it on the outside, bouncing over the curb. Sanchez avoids hitting the wall. Gravel does its job and slows him down just in the nick of time. Meanwhile, move on the top of your screen as Rafael Renhofer continues to try and put the pain on Luis Bielica, and there's that contact that spins Fluke around.
Right, we're looking for purple wheels. That's the guilty party.
Luca Alper. I can tell you right now, Paul.
Yeah, I'm afraid, as the sole member of the official Jamie Fluke fan club here, Albert, you're in the bad books. You're off. See you later. Red card.
I like to be member number 2 of that club. Yeah, Luca put a great social media post about the pink wheels. That's how I remember one of our comments a couple of weeks ago about pink wheels being easy to identify. Luca, yeah, easy to identify, unfortunately, when things go wrong as well. Back down to the hairpin on lap number 3, and big separation up front as Charlie Collins is a full second clear of Tristan Iglesias. He's left to defend from Florent Lebigra at Sebastian Job and company. Outside for Henry Moore, not quite going to work out, as Luca Alpert's now going to have the inside down towards the Nürburgring chicane. All the corners named after tracks where the corners are modelled off of. Henry Moore not taking no for an answer, though. Slides up the inside, and the Team Bennett number 18 holds on to the spot.
What can Henry do here? Of course, Team Bennett, one of those teams that are on the outside looking in, trying to get to themselves some results here. For Luca Alpert, currently 13th. They're both on the outside looking in. It's that top 8 that you want to be in, and big mistake there from Moore. That's opened up the opportunity to Alpert. Sticks his nose in there. He's got to get the run all the way through the left-hander here. He'll keep it alongside. Then on the brakes, should get the job done into this penultimate section.
This is an awkward section in these cars as well. He slides the rear end around, but holds on and bounces over the curves without losing too much momentum, and now picks the speed back up to just shy of 220 kilometers an hour before you tip the car in towards turn 1. Left side of the screen, you can see that the top 8 infiltration of the big 2 teams that we had talked about as one of our storylines pre-race. Now starting to see some more names. Jerome Fisher representing EMM. Alessandro Bico, former Williams F1 Team Gaming driver, and now flies a privateer flag. Henry Moore rolls down towards the hairpin. There's lots of contact behind him as they try and shuffle through. Noah Eder's the one that's going to be able to make his move. I've got to say, Paul, for a track where we didn't expect too much passing, plenty of chopping and changing going on for the time being.
I think there's a little bit of Morse code going on out there, though, between the cars. You're getting into this group, and then you're just little bits of bumping and trying to sort of move people out of the way. Not so much punt to pass, but certainly using the old front bumper to try and move people out of the way. Will Chadwick, of course, he qualified for the region. Oh! There he goes! And that was a push, not a drop.
That was a big push. He's doing the right thing and waiting patiently. He was racing in the real world today. iRacing Sean Ambrose was there and watching everything. Actually got Will's champagne-laden hat from the podium celebration. Finished P2 in the first race and then won the second 2 races from Alton Park. But as you're going to see here, an optimistic lunge up the inside and bang. Not much that he could really do there to avoid the contact from the number 16. That's Ollie Schultz that made the slam up the inside.
You see, that's almost where you need to, as a driver, even though you are clear of those two fighting, you almost need to cover off that inside line just to preempt that happening and to basically stop the ability of the car just to be pitched in such a way. But yeah, Schultz is certainly being physical. Now, Sebastian Job, this is somebody who didn't have the best of times last time out at Imola. Finished in 9th place. Did speak to us after the race and said it was a difficult race, but had to fight his way through. And he's currently 4th, so he's getting himself some good points this week. He'll be wanting to carry that on. And Jamie Fluke on the recovery drive.
He passes Vitaly Yolkin, although not quite, has to close the door on entry there. Always slightly uncomfortable as he slipped through. For Sebastian Job, he's one of just 2 drivers with a chance of being, as Paul would describe them, ever-present. Part of every single season in the Porsche Esports Supercup. Alejandro Sanchez the other. And Sanchez up the inside of Ganoso Tazdelen, who gets forced off the track. Well, Sanchez almost gets run into there by Ethan Bernard in the blue Mercure number 21, but Bernard does a great job to take advantage, and now the Frenchman has to watch the inside shoulder. Tazdelen tries the charge. They're going to lose out now here. Wrong side of the track. Behind them, Jesse Halaiho and Jamie Fluke stacked up and ready to pounce if there's anything that goes wrong, if they dip their toes into the gravel and slow their momentum. I don't think the Flying Finn's quite close enough, though, to try the lunge up into the hairpin.
Oh, the guns are out for Halaiho, but he's got Jamie Fluke alongside him, and that's a problem for him. Fluke to the inside, gets one spot, doesn't quite get alongside the other car of Tazdelen, though, so able to gain a place back there. A lot of people might be sort of wondering how come there's been so much sort of contact in these early stages. You got to remember that these drivers, they're all within a tenth, half a tenth of each other in terms of speed and ability. So even the smallest of gaps, if you see a small gap open up, you're going to take that advantage, aren't you? You're going to stick your nose in, aren't you, Arjuna?
Absolutely. We're seeing plenty of mistakes as well, and I think further down the field, that's maybe the real talking point. Jamie Fluke's recovery drive now down 8 from where he started this race, but had a quick chat with him in the aftermath of the opening rounds. He said wasn't quite sure what to expect, but he didn't really think that he would be 0.6 off the pace, I think was his words, and solidly mid-pack. A little bit uncomfortable over the curbs, but gets away with one there. Oh, he's opened an opportunity, but that was always a fleeting one for the Finn to try and get back through. Let's go back up, though, to what you were saying about Job, Sanchez. You know, drivers with a chance of being in every single season of the Porsche Esports Supercup, and after a difficult opening round for Job, he's righted that wrong quite well. Sanchez, on the other hand, though, Paul, failing to set the lap in qualifying. I'd assume track limits played their part. It's making his life a whole lot more difficult than Job's was after round one.
Yeah, the most important thing, really, going into any of these races is getting that qualifying lap in, so at least you can already get yourself into a decent position. If you're starting at the back of the field, as Sanchez has shown here today, you get involved in incidents, you get involved in other people's incidents. Bika fighting it out with Renhofer. This is for 10th place, by the way. We've got Bielica in front of them. But, if you're starting further back in the field, you're more likely to get involved in those incidents. We've seen it time and again in the actual Supercup itself, when we have that inverted grid, how people who win the sprint race generally then start getting involved in other people's incidents. Oh, that's very wide! Very, very wide for Bielica, and that gives an opportunity to Bika.
Yep, that's not quite the intended path through the corner. Lots of people, I'm sure, wondering about the air that the drivers are taking. It's not the easiest of lines to be repeated time after time, but it's what you need to do in these Porsche Cup cars, and you'll see similar sort of lines often taken in the real world, maybe with a little less frequency if they're being mindful of the suspension underneath them. Raphael Renhofer, I mentioned it during the starting grid, but Paul, he's just moved to the Nürburgring to start an internship with Mantai Racing. He's had a blockbuster year so far racing at the Nordschleife, including a couple of second place finishes, including in the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. However, it's the next step, living at the track. Most important thing has been set up, and that's a sim rig. You'll get another free spot here as the pain continues for Bielica.
Yep, slow down penalty for Bielica, so cutting across the inside of one of the chicanes, and that's cost him that time. But yeah, what a commitment and what an opportunity it is for Renhofer to get there into the Nürburgring and to immerse himself in that environment, because those drivers that take part, especially in the SP9 class at Nürburgring, they have to immerse themselves in that world 24/7, don't they?
It sounds like we're all going to be queuing up at his door, A, to stay there during the weekend, but B, to get some taxi laps as well. Bounce over the curb once again. This time he's pushed to the outside as the German Bielica been doing some racing of his own after winning the PT Autosport Young Drivers Shootout, racing the Ginetta GT Academy in Europe. Also juggling that with his international business education as well. It always baffles me how busy these drivers end up keeping themselves. Draft seemingly fairly strong, and he is going to try and cut back underneath, but tried it a bit too late. Down all the way to about 50 kilometers an hour and into first gear. Lots of power to spin you out of the hairpin. Fight for 10th position, though, has lost a little bit of ground to Alessandro Bika.
I have it all on just trying to do my day job in this, let alone about two other things that Raphael is doing there. Look at that very wide entry into the hairpin there at turn 9. The problem with that wide entry is that it gives a little bit of an opening, a door opening to Bielica behind, who's really got that opportunity, but it always closes at the 180 down at turn number 9. But these two still really close. What it is allowing, though, is it's allowing Bika to run away in front of them in 9th place.
Florian Lebigra said that this was his home race. He couldn't let himself and fellow French viewers watching down. He struggled, though, to make his way past Tristan Iglesias, who's, I don't want to say played rear gunner action by any means. He's not blocking the Verstappen Sim Racing and Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing duo behind him, but doing just enough to hold them at bay while Charlie Collins continues to run down the road. There's something special in the water in Monmouth, England, where Charlie was raised. Bryn is his brother Bryn, I should say. Bryn Collins, a feisty driver in his own right. Paul's got some stories about that. Tristan Iglesias sat behind is not just these two, but Jerome Fisher as well. I mentioned 14 years young, Paul, and really breaking now into the stranglehold of the big teams that we've seen at the front of the field. Hymo setups by EMM, partnering up, of course, with the EMM Esports as well. And Jerome doing great.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job for that EMM outfit. And, I mean, it's been really good to see how this team has come on board in the world of, especially in Porsche. They've really taken to Porsche racing. Of course, Will Chadwick was racing with the EMM Esports team in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain this year when he won the championship. So, you know, they've got pedigree in the car as a team, and they've got a really strong outfit here. And big moment there for Job on the exit of the chicane, and I think it was Lebigra in front who also had a moment launching the car over the curbs.
Well, they've clearly found a bit more speed in qualifying to get closer to Coanda, but the longer this race goes, those Coanda cars up front seemingly have a bit more speed. I think what likely happened is Joe following a bit too close to Lebigra. Maybe Lebigra had his moment and then Joe caught out in reaction to that. He shapes to try and get past and allows Jerome Fisher to squeeze a bit closer under the brakes. Slightly uncomfortable there. Fisher ends up costing himself some time.
Luke McEwen, he's sniffing an opportunity behind them. 6th place right now. He wants to get himself inserted to this fight. He's got the cars in front of him. And last lap, Luke McEwen was quicker than Iglesias and Lebigra and Job. So he's got the pace over them in front of them right now. I want to point this out, by the way. Charlie Collins is 2/10 of a second per lap quicker than everybody else.
It's remarkable. And I was just looking up some of the statistics. When Collins left the championship, the Porsche Esports Supercup at the end of 2023, he went off to race with the Porsche Coanda Esports racing team in the R1 competition. Now, he's racked up 12 wins. That's a 20% winning rate in his history. There's only 4 drivers who have a higher winning percentage than him. Josh Rogers, Sebastian Job, Max Benneker. Those are the 3 names that everyone will recognize. And then there's Dara McCormack. But I promise you, there's not many drivers better than those 4. Charlie Collins in rarefied air in those statistics and looking set to go back-to-back here after 2 consecutive pole positions as well. Down through the field. Not really much fighting happening right now, Paul. We knew that it was going to be difficult to pass. There was the contact, maybe some mistakes at the early part of the race, but it does seem as though and feel as though our drivers have settled into the rhythm.
It's that concertina effect, isn't it, around here? Especially through Adelaide, through 180 into Chateau d'Eau. It's that concertina effect. It can just then start spreading the field apart into little packs of cars. So we've seen as it was the Tour de France starting here with the stage start. Here, Charlie Collins, Tristan Iglesias, they're the 2 on the breakaway. And then we've got this little mini peloton behind them. 3 cars, soon to be 4 in all of this. 10.5 minutes remaining in the race. So still time to go. And track temperature, we've not really touched on this, by the way, Arjuna. 46 degrees Celsius track temperature, so it's quite warm. Drivers will be wary of the tyres towards the end of the race.
Now, the good thing is, at least, they're not too worried about, I would hope, their temperature in their cockpits at home, as much as this car does have a pretty good air conditioning system. Some of the recent Carrera Cup Asia races, where the drivers don't have air conditioning there, we've seen some very sweaty drivers after races. Bit of a moment once again for a Coanda car, this time Alejandro Sanchez. He's back up to 17th. But Lucas Cammarero in front of him, wide through the final corner, and Sanchez tries the arc through Estoril, now picking up the speed from minimum apex speed of 130 kilometers an hour. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and now 6th gear as He uses the draft of Noah Eder in front of him. And Sanchez minimizing the damage, but at this point, not expecting him to get any higher than 13th position or so. He's going to find himself in a bit of a hole after the second round in the regional championship.
I think Noah Eder and Alejandro Sanchez are going to have to get themselves down to the Porsche Genuine Spares department for a front end of those cars, because they are looking distinctly second-hand right now. Need a bit of sort of polish on that to clean that out, but I think a new front bumper, so that'll be... I mean, it's cheap in the terms of a Porsche, but it's not cheap in the terms of you or I.
No, and at least we don't have to worry about writing off any of these chassis as well, and maybe limited supply that sometimes happen on a race weekend. Noah Eder, by the way, he's one of the few drivers in this field that if I went and interviewed them, I'd actually be looking at their eye level. He's also 1 meter 96 centimeters tall, which does mean I'm not sure how many Porsche race cars he's going to fit in. Alejandro Sanchez trying to get himself a bit taller over those curves, but stays just on the tarmac.
I think with how he hit that curb, by the way, Sanchez, if this was a full metal car, he'd be feeling that through his spine with how it landed. Oh, nice cut back though on the exit. Can he get the power down? Yes, he can. And I think this is where a little bit of that experience of running in these Porsche 911s is really coming to the fore. I do get the feeling that Sanchez has maybe just looked after his tyres that little bit compared to others that are in and around him who are maybe a little bit less experienced at this level.
Helped out by Lucas Moreira, who sent it up the inside. Didn't quite get to the right rear of Noah Eder, the German, but did just enough to put him off from putting the offense on Alejandro Sanchez. Bit of gravel scooped onto the track by a couple of drivers as we descend into the final 7.5 minutes of running. And again, no expected pit stops, and so far all 27 that saw the green flag, looking like they will see the checkered flag as well. Through into the final awkward sector, down to 70 kilometers an hour as you drop into second gear. The concertina that Paul mentioned plays out very slightly, but into turn 15, Moreira close enough to show himself in the mirror, just put Noah Eder slightly off his line. Not going to work out though, with what will likely be, I would say, trying to do the math very quickly, 4 laps left to go.
I reckon 4 laps, yeah. Also, my computer here reckons 4 laps as well, so no doubt that'll be wrong and prove us all wrong. But yeah, Moreira, he's running out of time now to make any final moves. I mean, he is up 4 places from where he started, to be fair, as Lucas. So good going through the field. Has benefited from a few issues out there for people. Now, Pinto is under pressure here. This is opportunities for the Heimo car.
Kadlecic impressed last time out as well. Fresh off his championship win in the Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series. Up the inside, through turns 9 and into 10, and he clears the former champion. Pinto dropped down into 8th spot, and I said that Verstappen sim racing may be struggling a bit on the long run, and Martin Kadlecic just kept the Michelin tires underneath him just enough to make the move on the Portuguese driver.
I think Max needs to get his hand in his pocket and sort out Diogo's signage up on his wall there. So, come on, Max, you've got a few bob to spare. But still, yeah, Pinto, as we say, former champion, former Porsche Esports Supercup champion, just falling down the order here. Back to where he started in 8th place, but doesn't look comfortable over those curbs, whereas that Heimo car in front of Kadlecic looking very good up 4 spots.
And you're relatively limited on setup options, but the suspension in particular is where you'll make your difference. Yes, there's been some extra aero added onto these cars in comparison to previous generations. However, fundamentally, it's that mechanical grip underneath you that you're always trying to dial yourself in. Noah Eder is driven straight off the track at turns 2 and 3. Moreira sweeps through. Ollie Schultz not quite clear, but he's going to pop forward as they head down to Adelaide once more. on lap 16 of this race. If any driver's taken a bit too liberal use of their tyres, they are feeling the pain now. Hip and shoulder out of the groove. Noah Eder gets dropped down another spot. He started up in 15th and now down to 18th, and with a whole handful of quick drivers stacked up behind him, the pain might not be over.
Yeah, this is a bank holiday Monday in the UK, is this, and the car at the front has got the caravan behind it, and everybody else on the A road is looking for ways to get by. Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a logjam right now in this position, and through the left and the right, and this is an opportunity into the right-hander. There's a dive down the inside from the impulse driver. Noah Eder losing yet another space. That's Lischak.
It's not done. Teammate behind's not going to force the issue, you think. Ganoso Tazdelin, the Turkish driver, sits and waits as they continue to fight down into the final complex. The Polish driver commits, and Frank Lichka slips through. No, Noah Eder and Ganoso Tazdelin almost come to blows, and through goes Jamie Fluke. 3 wide down in towards turn 1. Tip the car in at 220 kilometers an hour, and Fluke up to 19th.
Little tip of the hat there for Jamie, ever the opportunist. Through goes Fluke. I'm sure I've said that in the past before, but yeah, that's a great opportunistic move there from Jamie. He is down 5 places from where he started. He had that, he got punted around into this Adelaide hairpin, but that was a great opportunity. Saw what was coming, and now the Blummer Kierkegaard, and Fluke's not finished yet. He's going for yet another spot. This is fantastic from the Northern Irishman.
Well, Lichka said he was excited for Magny Core. Now he's got to live up to that fight. Not going to work around the outside as Fluke placed himself in a compromised position. Noah Eder, you think, wants to fight back. Ethan Bernard is centered around the outside of Ganoso Tazdelin, and he won't get the move, but it was audacious, it was bold from the Frenchman. This is great stuff. They're delivering with what will be 2 laps to go at the line. Fluke slips through. He's back into 19th position, but the damage showing, the scars of the battle. Bernard back around the outside as the teammates almost tip into one another as they stack up on the apex of the corner. Bernard urges the car on forward. He's not quite clear. He is now.
Oh, Bernard. I mean, it's handy to have teammates out there, and the Grid and Go cars, it's great to have teammates there. Oh, more door banging. There's paint being swapped here. And, well, it's getting a bit rough and tumble here, and Bernard now loses that place once again to Hilhayo. But, yeah, it's great to have teammates, but not when you're tripping over each other.
Ethan Bernard, the 22-year-old, he's done some racing, including against Isaac Hadjar, currently racing in the Ligier JS Cup France, alongside of juggling his work and master's degree studies. Another one of these drivers, Paul, that has his hands in plenty of hats. Sees the fight in front of him, though, and this might be a chance to slip through because they get glued together off the corner. Tazdelin drops down, Hilaiho drops down, and Ethan Bernard on the inside. 3 wide. Let's risk it, shall we? That's what Tazdelin's elected to do. He'll shortcut the corner, and this is getting a bit messy.
That was never on, and Tazdelin, you've got to give the place back. No, you can't just park in front of him now. That's not on, in my opinion. He's got a slow down penalty as Tazdelin. He's trying to serve it. Now, I'm sorry, but he should be made to go by. So the leader starting the last lap while all this is going on. And yes, still having to serve that slow down penalty. Now he does. Eliho has to go the long way around, but that's cost them both.
Ethan Bernard, the beneficiary of that one. 1 lap to go, and he's got enough ground to be comfortably through with the final trip around this redesigned Magny-Cours circuit back in 2003 was when this modern layout was set in stone. And after winning the main race in the Porsche Esports Supercup back in 2023, Charlie Collins, on his return to the championship, set to win once again by a pretty dominant margin, Paul. It's 5 seconds after 19 laps of action.
I mean, we've not talked about him all race here, but Charlie Collins, just the class of the field here. Absolutely incredible. His average lap time has increased to 0.4 of a second per lap, faster than everybody else here. Absolutely sensational from the young Brit, and yeah, he'll be delighted getting another one into the record books, shall we say?
Still waiting for the main championship to start, but for Charlie Collins, already starting to pick up the pieces from 2023. A winner in the main race at Circuit Magny-Cours then, and 2 wins in a row now in the European region, and a big sigh of relief as Charlie Collins on top of the European region on the road to the Porsche Esports Supercup. Coanda 1 and 2, Tristan Iglesias defends from Florian Lebiger and Sebastian Job, but Verstappen Sim Racing holding on strong through the end. Paul, this is going to be a tussle to the end to confirm which 8 drivers punch their ticket to the big show.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely sensational to watch, and you'll want to see this all along.
Charlie Collins drinks in our Mobile One winning moment. Not quite sure the last time I saw Charlie Collins with as deep a breath as we saw after he crossed the line. I wonder if that's going to be something that we talk about with him in our post-race conversations. Other stories, Kadlicic, Jerome Fisher, EMM, Hymo setups. What a great battle from them, and the Trilux move the race. I think no doubt Kadlicic with the up and under in towards turn 9 and on a former champion of the series. Take a bow. Diogo Pinto could do nothing as Martin forced his way forward.
Was great stuff, was that. Fantastic to watch these drivers giving us a tremendous show here today. And yeah, absolutely wonderful stuff to watch.
Let's look at this from up above. He had the wherewithal to cut back underneath, to give enough room off the exit off the corner. Too often in racing, be it virtual or real, we talk about the lack of leaving space, but no need to leave space when instead you cut back and fight forward. And Martin Kadlicic, fresh off his championship win in the Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series, 7th on the board, but behind Charlie Collins and Tristan Iglesias, who get it done for Coanda once again. On home soil, Florian Lebiger punches in a podium, while Sebastian Job, a solid 4th place effort in the Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing number 6. Jerome Fisher, the 14-year-old, finishes 5th in front of Luke McEwen, while Martin Kadlicic makes it 2 of the EMM represented machines, rounding out in 7th. Pinto, Biko, and Bielica your top 10. 16 seconds splits them as Collins runs away at the front, while Rafael Renhofer on the verge of a top 10 once again, just in front of his teammate Luca Alpert. Henry Moore, Daniel Ola, and then Alejandro Sanchez, who fights his way up 8 positions after failing to punch in a qualifying lap time, just in front of Lucas Cameron Marrero, Ollie Schultz, Frank Lichka, Jamie Fluke, and Noah Eder. Slightly smaller field than we maybe expected, but Ethan Bernard 21st, Hilario, Tasdelen, Spiezio, Yolkin, Chadwick, and Christensen 27. That saw the green flag, all seeing the checkered flag as well, and all on the lead lap. But miles clear at the front, back-to-back wins. Charlie Collins is with Paul Smith.
Charlie, I mean, first of all, I've got an apology for you. We didn't talk about you all race. That's how far out in front you were. Just tell us about that, because first of all, it was a really tight qualifying in terms of that top 3. Incredibly close. But once you got that launch, you just seemed to get that one out of the way and just pull away from everyone.
Hey fellas, no, very proud of that one again. Probably going to say similar stuff to last week, but yeah, I think very proud of the team, because I think we showed in qualifying again that we had really, really strong pace. I know all the cars were at the front. Alex, I think would have had a really, really good lap, but unfortunately just got a small off track after the line. But yeah, in terms of the race, for me, it was just kind of get past lap 1, and then I deafened in Discord and just tried not to look back and just look forward, and yeah, just saw the gap growing, and kept with it.
We heard from Sebastian Job last week that he reckons that your team has found something in this car. Would you say that maybe others have now started finding that as well, with how close things were, especially in qualifying?
Who knows, Paul? Who knows? I mean, so many things. Like people, like yeah, always when you're in this series, there's little things that I'm sure we've missed as well, and it's just kind of who's got the most kind of like of these small things, who's got the most of them together and got the best out of it. So it's really, really hard to find out, but no, I'm super happy with that. It's actually reminded me a lot of 2023. We had a PESC race around here in 2023, and had a similar situation in the feature race where I was on pole, luckily after finishing P8 in the sprint, and just kind of was able to similarly just drive away and look forward. So it was quite reminiscent, even though it was a long time ago. But yeah.
Yeah, you make it sound like we're all getting old. We're not. But thank you very much, Charlie. Absolutely dominant win from you today, and all the best for Barcelona in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, guys. See you there.
There we go. That was Charlie Collins, our winner of this race. The move of the race, we saw it on screen. Martin Kadlacek joins us now. Martin, I mean, 4 positions gained in that race, up to 7th place. You beat a former PESC champion as well. Okay, I think I know what your reaction will be to qualifying, but that's a good sort of race pace, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame for me that I didn't quite nail it in qualifying. I think I had a very good pace today. Probably could have fought for top 5, but in the end, I enjoyed the race. It was quite a lonely one at the middle of the race. Then I had a fight with Diogo, which I'm quite happy with the move. So yeah, P7 in the end, I think I can be quite happy. It's an improvement from Imola. I didn't quite expect to have this good pace, to be honest, from practice, because I was really struggling with the final chicane. It was really bumpy, so yeah, quite happy with the P7. Shame about the qualifying, but hopefully next time better.
Has it helped you now, though, because you had the success with the Skip Barber Formula iRacing series? Has it helped you now being able to focus on this series, to put all that effort into the Porsches now?
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty hard for me because I'm also trying to qualify for the F4 Esports series. So it was like 3 series I had to focus on. So definitely now with the Skip Barber done, I can focus more on the Porsche Supercup. But unfortunately, next time I won't be racing on my rig, so it will be a bit difficult for me. But let's see. I hope I can somehow still get a good result.
Well, Martin, congratulations on the successful week, and well done on getting the move of the race as well.
Thank you very much.
There we go. It's Martin Kadlacek joining us, and then finally we're going to speak to Alex Sanchez, who I think it's fair to say you've had a very testing week this week, haven't you?
Testing is one way to put it. Yeah, gotta keep it PR friendly. No, but had a really good lap in quali until I didn't. Got on off track at the line, and lap gets invalidated, and yeah, got stuck in else's mistakes, and for the race couldn't move much forward. I say somebody else's mistakes. It's just people not knowing how to brake when you're spinning. But it's part of the game. I should have qualified better, and yeah, I gotta get on it.
But it's then that recovery drive. It's the sign of somebody who is a quality driver, to not let those things get you down, and you just refocus and get what results you can get, isn't it, throughout that race then?
Yeah, I mean, there were many of those. Well, I had some passes, obviously, but like many of that was just people spinning out and just recovering from that. But yeah, really, I think could have been around top 10, perhaps, if I didn't have the lap 1 mishaps. But yeah, overall, still P15. Obviously, the goal is to qualify, but not a great day.
Well, you still made the most moves in the race, though, 8 positions, but still, on to Barcelona next time out. Let's hope it's a good one.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much for joining us, Alex. All the best.
Thank you very much.
You could hear the frustration, some of the disappointment there for Alejandro. However, some good news to share with him, even after slightly frustrating round 2. He still sits inside of the top 8 cut line. Quite remarkable, the gap that now Charlie Collins has to some of those further behind, and I think the fight is going to end up being increasingly tight and increasingly physical, Paul, as we get later into the season. But 9th and 10th split by 17 provisionally. Race Control maybe with a couple of things still left to say.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have them working a little bit this week at Race Control from the European race, but it just goes to show that even a bad day, it's worth keeping fighting as Sanchez did. You've got to take the positives. I'm very much somebody who's looked at the positives. He's kept himself in that top 8 by fighting back, getting those 8 places gained from where he started, and was able to keep himself in the top 8 so far. So that puts him in a good position going into Barcelona next week. 2 weeks' time, should I say.
And his home race, right, as a Spaniard. So I think he'll be excited, much like some of the French drivers were this week, August 1st. Paul's too excited and wants to be back next weekend, but instead we'll have a couple of the other regions, Americas and the Middle East regions taking center stage. It was a interesting battle, but maybe not at the front of the field for the most part, as they qualified, as they ran off the line here at the circuit at Mandy-Cour, and after Charlie Collins converted pole to the lead, never looked back. His teammate Alex Sanchez a bit more struggles as Ganoso Tasdellen tagged him on the opening lap of the race. Jamie Fluke was to be tagged by Luca Alpert in the EMM Esports at number 2. An interesting race continued to develop then outside of the top 10, but really as those up front continue to stretch themselves out, Martin Kadlicic the opportunity to punch in the move of the race, and up and under on former champion Diogo Pinto through the long turn 9, slow second gear corner, and converted it to a spot in the top 7. Meanwhile, as Noah Eder slid backwards through the field in the closing stages, Frank Lichka got through, but then as they bounced over the curbs, Ganoso Tasdellen pushed wide, Jamie Fluke took advantage to slip through. 2 for the price of 1. Don't need to tell someone like Fluke twice, as they fought just on the edge of the top 20. Charlie Collins, didn't talk about him much. We apologised in our post-race interview, but clear up front as he won by about 5 full seconds. I'm Judah Kankipati alongside of Paul Smith here in the RaceBot TV broadcast booth. Got one more race coming up in just a couple of moments' time, so don't turn your TVs off just yet. It's Asia Pacific heading to Suzuka, and so trading one track where it's hard to pass for another. A lot of the same stories are going to carry forward, Paul, in terms of qualifying being important and staying out of trouble.
Suzuka is if you're a racing driver and you don't like Suzuka, there's something wrong with you. That is for sure, because it is one of those all-time great circuits, is Suzuka, and it is tricky to overtake. You got the S's at the start of the lap, which is always one of the fun sections of World Motorsport, and then through the Degnas as well. But we've got that in just a few moments' time.
So don't go anywhere. More to come.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
From the shadow of Mount Fuji, we head to Suzuka, where today round 2 of the Asia Pacific region rolls through on the road to the Porsche Esports Supercup. And knowing how tight and twisty this unusual track can be, what challenges lie in store as qualifying gets underway for our drivers here tonight. Arjuna Kankipati alongside of Paul Smith here in the RaceSpot TV broadcast booth. And Paul, last week, Dane Warren put on a show, a clinic at the front of the field as Coanda made it 3 wins in the 4 regions. And we're in for a similar story here today, unless someone, maybe Cooper Webster, former champion, has something to say about that. And an interesting line that you threw at him a couple of weeks ago. It's not often a champion has to re-qualify for the chance to defend their championship.
Yeah, certainly it's completely unique in terms of this series, and a great opportunity for us to see whether he can do so. I would feel confident if I'm Cooper with the ability that he's got and with the team that he's got behind him, but Dane Warren, he was on another level last week.
Similar kind of to what we saw from Charlie Collins. If you're just joining us for the first time tonight, let's dive into what's changed here in the 2026 Porsche Esports Supercup.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are 2 ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
take a look at what transpired a couple of weeks ago. Dane Warren off the line, able to convert, but more drama in the middle sector, all leading to chopping and changing. Damon Woods, one of the drivers, getting mixed up as a result in those distinctive Falcon Sim Racing colours. And then more drama up to the chicane, including Ji Chong Guo getting a little bit lifted up into the air. Cooper Webster was made to fight in the early stages of this race by Hugo Allen, the Auto Moves Racing Bright Blue machine. They continue their fight for second, all amidst more of the argy-bargy down at the awkward chicane in these Porsche Cup cars as drivers then began the ascent into the final sector, where different lines definitely played their part, and the opportunities for some like Michael Velasquez in the number 19 to sweep underneath on the climb to the final corner, see the slightly tighter lines on the entry onto the 1.5 kilometer main straight, and try and slip through and take advantage, all battling with Cooper Prout in the number 29 Auto Moves Racing machine. Fight back from Cody Deeth in the Falcon Sim Racing car saw him close on those further forward in the latter stages, but ultimately one of the drivers that will be looking for a couple more points here in round 2, only getting up to 14th, and a ways down the road from Dane Warren, winner of the opening round of the Asia Pacific region, and with now a healthy gap to the cut line, drawn below 8th position. Paul, there's a lot left to fight for still, but some drivers already looking very comfortable, including Cooper.
Yeah, they certainly are, but never write off those that are just outside of that top 8. And when you look at it, how close it is down to Cody Deeth in 13th, 10 points outside of the top 8. Certainly going to be intriguing to see how this season pans out.
And so let's talk about some of the storylines here in the Asia Pacific region, where that big wreck that you saw on the opening lap, Cody Deeth recovering up to 14th position, Ji Chong Guo up to, I should say down to negative 10 points once you factor in the penalty points. And so very similar to what we were talking about with our European drivers, Alejandro Sanchez can't really get too worried right now. Just continue to be consistent and see how the rest of the season develops, Paul.
Yeah, try and pick up the pieces and to try and get forward and get those places. That's what's going to be key, and get the results for the next 4 weeks. One thing that we have seen is that you've got to make moves to win this one. Of course, Auto Moves Racing, only team with 2 drivers in this top 8 from last week as well. A lot of independent roster drivers here in this region of the championship. So you've not got those big packs of the big teams of a Coanda or a Verstappen Sim Racing. So it's all about how those drivers do individually. Falcon Sim Racing, of course, a couple of those teams, should I say, in this cars.
And I wonder who's really mastered the track, putting aside the team element of things. This is a track where precision is going to be so important, the elevation that's going to roll you around this track. And so as much as it's a historic track for Formula One in particular, one hairpin being named after Kobayashi, at least in my personal opinion, let's see what these tin tops can do today. Same Loctite race analysis, 30-minute standing start with no planned pit stops. Hoping we see the same as our European region, where all starters see the checkered flag on the lead lap, but draw the line once again below 8th position. Finish all 5 races inside of that cut line. You're in a pretty good spot. Let's talk about the track then, Paul, with our TDK track analysis.
Yeah, it's 18 turns, 5.8 kilometres in length. That's 3.6 miles, so a little bit longer than the track that we've just seen at Manicure. Super GT is, of course, one of the main championships that races around here. Formula One here as well. But as you mentioned there, 2 rounds of the Carrera Cup Japan and an official test here as well. So it is one of those venues that everybody loves. And like I say, if you don't love this track, then you're not a true racing driver, are you?
Well, we've seen some great moments. It's also a track that demands the most from drivers, 130R in particular. The car enters at 255 kilometers an hour. Flick it left. Over, I should say. The switch out of Degner 2. and into the final part of the lap, the Casio Triangle. Here's a look at the TDK pole on board lap. Another consecutive pole award goes the way of Dane Warren and Kawanda. Just shy of breaking the 2-minute barrier. Car turns into turn 1 at 260 kilometers an hour, all the way down to 115 as you roll in towards the S's. But Paul, take us through the lap.
Yeah, we're going through the snake here, and it's important to get yourself set up in the first part of this because you carry the speed in your line all the way through these S's, through the right-hander, long right-hander that then takes you towards Dunlop Curve. This corner was reprofiled a few years ago, and it's a really challenging corner for the car and the tyres. Keep over to the left for Degner 1, launch the car over the curb, use all of the runoff on the left-hand side. Degner 2 is cambered in your favour over the curbs once again underneath the bridge, and then you're going to head to the hairpin and get onto the anchors, get it down into that corner. Dane Warren rotation, lovely bit of rotation on that car. You then come through 130R, absolutely Harry Flatters through here. You're foot down into the Axminster, heading towards Spoon. This is one of the trickiest corners on the circuit. Throw it in, but you're braking and turning at the same time to set yourself up for the second part of Spoon. Important to carry the speed out the corner. Don't go too far wide, that'll give you off track and invalidate your lap time. Now down the back stretch, past the small pit lane for the west layout at Suzuka, and then one of the most famous corners then through 130R. Over the curbs, not too far wide, get over to the left hand side and into the chicane at the end of the lap. Launch it over the curbs, that's what this car can do. Through the last corner, keep it over to the right hand side for the shortest run to that timing line.
It looks so easy, but if only we could all do it. Dane Warren, about a 10th clear of Cooper Webster, defending champion, and Kawanda, Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing get ready to rein into their battle on the front row. Hudson Hughes in the Paddock GG number 8 slots inside of Damon Woods in the Falcon Sim Racing number 12, while Cody Deeth makes another one of those teal and blue Porsche Cup cars alongside of Hussein Kwang on row 3. Hugo Allen, Charlie Jameson, a couple of drivers in the thick of the fight a couple of weeks ago. They split row 4, while to complete the top 10, it's Wu Yu Cheng and Xavier Kane. Josh Zhang and Eric Shaw roll through 11th and 12th, with Koshihiro Tamai and Aidan Schweikert behind them. Leela Sen and Cooper Prout 15th and 16th respectively. Down to Corey Lazarus, Metsik Klanchui and Haruki Akazawa alongside of Chandramouli Anandan. Your top 20 split by just over 2 seconds. Dow O'Brady, Bradley Setters 21st and 22nd, with Mikko Pirinen, Jae Hee Han 23rd and 24th. First driver with no time on the board, and then Byron Pierce, Wei Zhong, and then Michael Velasquez. Got some work to do from 27th position, but once again, draw the line. 8th position and below find themselves in a rather uncomfortable situation. Those at the front of the field making those at the back wait until the lights begin to build and we go racing, Paul.
Cody Deeth setting himself up in 5th place, in for a good points haul if he can stay in this top 8 as Cooper Webster now jumps onto the grid. One of the most famous runs down to a turn 1 in the world of motorsport. It's got so much history, has this venue, not just in Porsches but also in other formulas as well. Who can forget 1989 and 1990 in the Formula 1 World Championships? A few people don't, that is for sure.
It has a sneaky history of deciding championships as well. Good thing is, no championship to settle today. Lots of memories that will linger as we get deeper into this season. Just waiting for one more driver at the rear of the field to slot in, and then seconds to tick away before we get a call to go racing. Final race in the second round of the regional championships. Asia Pacific gets the spotlight last. 30 minutes on the clock, engines rev. Let's go. Good start from Warren. He's going to cover off Cooper Webster instantly as we drop down to turn 1. There's 3 wide just outside of the top 15. But Warren, Webster, Hughes, Woods, no change inside of the top 4. In fact, make that no change in front of the top 11. As we'll begin the climb now up through the S's. Hugo Allen and Charlie Jameson 7 and 8. That's the first bits of side-by-side activity. With the slow crawl, snaking back and forth, one way then the other. Momentum in these cars, so hard sometimes to hold on to. And everyone aware of that. No troubles through the opening sector.
Koshiro Tamai has been making some moves in the early stages of this race, just outside the top 10 for that young man. But yeah, as we go through into the Degners, deceptive corners are these. So easy to make a mistake through here, especially in lap 1. Cold tyres, remember. You've got to get those tyres and up to pressure and temperature. Then into the hairpin now. And Dane, he's got a small gap at the front, but it's not comfortable.
No, one driver gets speared off wide. Might have been Bradley Setter as he's down 3 from the start of this race. Roll through turn 12 and into Spoon Curve, which is so awkward, and especially when you're side by side, 2 rows deep. Haruki Akazawa pushed out, and you can get yourself stranded on that curb. Even worse when you get stranded alongside of someone else. Corey Lazarus pushes wide, and now as they run up to 130R for the first time, are we going to be 3 wide? Yes, is the answer to that. One car almost completely into the grass as we sort things out eventually. One goes for a spin. That's Chandrabali Anandan. He's held on to it quite remarkably, but the tyres screaming underneath him. Meanwhile, through the Casio Triangle, Lazarus has lost out to Jae-hee Han, who's up now to 17th position. But Dane Warren, half a second clear at the front of the field.
Anandai, not a good move was that. He was the one who was out on the grass going into 130R. Not the most intelligent of moves, if you ask me personally, but there you go. As we've got more off at turn 1. What a rejoin! Come on! Look over your shoulder, please! Well, I mean, we've managed to avoid a major disaster there, but it wasn't the best of rejoins. But yeah, Woods now, Damon Woods, up a place on Hudson Hughes. I mean, Hudson Hughes had a good launch, actually, at the very start of the race, but was not able to challenge Cooper Webster into turn 1. And now, starting to lose position. So those Falcon cars just starting to work together. Cody Deeth, looking keen, wants to move forward and get some big points.
Remember, it's a paddock GG sandwich, unless you name your sandwiches after the bread around them. Falcon Sim Racing doing a good job, but the team game's not being played. Damon Woods already slightly pulling clear as we roll back up over the top of the entry in towards Spoon Curve. Bit of separation now starting to build through the field as well. That's important because behind Cody Deeth, Kusheng Hong, Hugo Allen, Charlie Jameson not showing the speed on these opening couple of laps of those at the very front of the field. Surely not in towards 130R. Cody Deeth is going to be setting up into the Casio Triangle if he can get a good run off the exit. Hard to do so when you're so close to the gearbox of the car in front. It allows Hughes to just roll his speed up into the braking zone and hold on to 4th position at the end of lap number 2.
Deeth just getting that curb a little bit wrong. It unsettled the car slightly. That means he doesn't get the best run off of the chicane. Back downhill towards turn number 1. But yeah, definitely exciting racing at the front here, although Warren and Webster are together, so Warren's not able to get away from Cooper Webster at the front. Meanwhile, Cody Deeth, young man from Australia, looking for places to make a move by him, but through the S's here, really, you can't make that move. You've got to be patient and set people up heading towards the hairpin.
Now, Paul, I know part of my job is to be the hype man, but part of my job is to speak my mind and to be honest as well. Cooper Webster, is he really going to fight Dane Warren at the front of this field? My gut tells me no, but I've been proven wrong many times.
I'm sorry, but it's Coanda versus Red Bull. It's Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing. It's one of the it's one of those fights. It's like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. It's like Stone Cold versus The Rock at WrestleMania. You're always going to get those two fighting each other, and it's always going to be a big fight. Cooper Webster is going to play a canny game. At the end of the day, he's not going to do anything stupid to lose himself a second place points. That's the thing. All you've got to care about is getting in that top 8. Wins don't matter here, but they help.
What it might come down to is how close the Falcon Sim Racing drivers can push. Here comes Deeth alongside of Hughes, and after finishing 14th a couple of weeks ago, Cody Deeth needs the points. There's no question about that. He's clear into the Casio Triangle, and now target acquired up the road. First his teammate, then Webster and Warren with 24 minutes to go. And track temperature, it was a story in the first race today in our European region. 41 degrees Celsius, it's a bit cooler. But Paul, this is a track where the tyres are doing a lot of work underneath you.
Yeah, a lot of sweeping corners, mid to high speed corners along sweepers. You got to remember as well, the asphalt here, they use a different type of stone here in Japan compared to, say, out in Europe with the asphalt. So you don't quite get the same in terms of purchase on the tyre at this track as you would, say, on a European track. So that has an effect as well, scrubbing the tyres a little bit, getting that bit of surface temperature in it, and with it being 40 degrees, 41 degrees track temperature, not that far off of what we saw just a few moments ago.
Now, Paul, the two at the front are the only two in this field that have raced in the Porsche Esports Supercup before. That is not to say, though, there aren't drivers in this field that bring credentials. I mean, Woods and Deeth, respectively, have IMSA Esports wins, I think, underneath both of their belts. So to add to many other championships as well. We saw Hugo Allen last week. He's a driver with real-world experience, the Toyota GR86 champion in 2025. In Australia, he's also entered the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia talent pool. So as much as this isn't necessarily as competitive as the European region in terms of the 32 drivers, it's not just the two at the front that we should be watching for going into the big show.
I mean, you're there saying that, yeah, it's Warren and Webster are the only two who have experience in the Super Cup. What that tells me is great. This opportunity for 6 drivers to get themselves into a world championship and to get themselves that opportunity to shine on the big stage and to test themselves. That's the thing. You only improve as a competitor. I know this from when I used to play rugby, when I was competing at not a serious level, but when I was competing in sort of local championships here in the UK as well on sim racing, and you only get better by facing the best drivers. And if you can get yourself into the Porsche Esports Super Cup, you're going up against some of the very best sim racers in the entire world. So there's no better test than the Super Cup. And yeah, 6 drivers are going to get their opportunity, the first opportunity there in the big dance.
Could it be Josh Sang, 14 years young, already? Look at the trophy stacked up behind him, though, as they climb up into the Degners. Touch the curb on the right, launch the right side tyres into the air, settle the car down quickly onto the brakes in a straight line, and then roll underneath the track. There's not many tracks where you do that.
I think Josh Zhang, if we go by his trophy count at the age of 14, is going to need a few more shelves there. That is for sure. Looking at that collection, my goodness. I've got slight trophy jealousy right now compared to my trophies that I've got set up behind me. But you can look at the effort that he's putting in there and what he's having to do to work the wheel. The very best drivers you will see, like a Cooper Webster or Dane Warren, they look like they're hardly doing anything with the wheel. They're just at one with the car, and they're not having to fight it. Whereas you'll see some drivers who may be towards the rear of the field that are fighting that car, that have not quite got the car set up how they want it to be, and they'll be working that wheel a bit more. That, of course, puts more energy into the tyres, and that means that you wear out your tyres, you overheat them, and it just makes things worse. But right now, Eric Shaw is the one putting the pressure on.
University student, 3 years in, so his studies, he squeezes Kashira Tamai all the way to the wall, and then that really pinches him on entry. Able to carry a bit more speed, slightly misses the apex, but well done to sweep forward. And now 1.9 seconds down the road from Xavier Kane. It's a bit of a margin to the Automoves Racing number 11. He's left Tamai to focus a bit more on what's going behind. And 6 drivers are going to get their opportunity. 14 years young for Josh Zhang, Kashira Tamai, 16 years of age. So there's lots of drivers, Paul, who have limited experience at this level. It's great to see the next generation start to make their way into the forefront of competition.
Makes me feel very old. It really does when you see these teenagers competing at this level, and you think that I'm old enough to be their dad. You know, it's quite the thing. But it's great to see this talent coming through. Look at that round the outside of the hairpin, and Schweiker making moves forward then. So lovely move around the outside. And can I just say, I feel you're a little bit underplayed. Shaw's move around the outside of turn 1 into 2. That was a sensational move.
It was pretty good. And we have lots of contenders to move the race right now. I don't envy those that actually have to make their picks. Cooper Prout pushed out wide, but he doesn't lose too much speed. Gets away with that one as they run up to 130R. But Jae-hee Han pulls alongside, and now as they try both to inch their cars in front, Jae-hee Han, a professional racing driver in South Korea, racing in the Hyundai EN1 class. Sounds like a very interesting production-based sort of racing. This is somewhat production-based, I would argue, but Porsche Cup car, I would think at this point, deviates quite significantly from the traditional Porsches you can get on the road. The very cool thing is the newly announced Porsche 911 GT4 car. It's not a simple switch, but from what I understand, you buy one car, it can race as a GT4 or a Cup car. So decent on the wallet for those that have the budget to do so. 1.2 seconds at the front of the field. Dane Warren heard what Paul Smith was saying earlier and said, you know what, let me pull clear.
By the way, if somebody with a large wallet wants to give me a go, then first of all, you're brave. Secondly, I'll have a go. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's Dane Warren's just got the hammer down, as you say. Pulled out that little bit of a gap at the front now. 1.3 seconds, 1.2 seconds. It's there or thereabout, but certainly it's Cooper Webster not able to live with it right now. And I think we might be going down your way of thinking there, Arjuna. You might be just sitting back and thinking, do you know what? Let's not fight. We've got a good gap between ourselves and Damon Woods. Woods is not quite matching their pace. Just keep going at the front and get the big points.
Out wide and off the track for Cooper Prout. Is he going to open the door for those behind? Mila Sen in particular might be the one that's the most the biggest beneficiary of this, but no, Prout once more, not losing too much speed on the outside and running up to 130R. Aiden Schweiker in a bit of no man's land. Cooper Prout's racking up the off tracks right now, no question about that, and stacking 3 wide to the Casio triangle, with Prout having to be very aggressive on the brakes. Byron Pierce in that Eclipse Sim Sport white and pink Cup car sat in 18th position, losing a bit of time now as he chops back down low on Lila Sen. Some decent racing going on here, but once more losing time up through the field. Hugo Allen and Hudson Hughes, after a great start for Hudson Hughes, losing the car the later we get into this race.
I tell you what, Prout has got to be careful here, because it was on the last lap through Spoon was off track as well. You're absolutely right at racking up instant points. You get a drive-through penalty at 17 instant points, and around a track like this, which is an old school circuit. You've got grass and gravel as you run off at the majority of the corners here. It's very easy to accumulate incident points and to rack them up. So you've got to be careful, as Lee Sen Lee we're looking at right now. And just the concentration on the face, just looking across at possibly a little sort of timing to see what's going on, and a move to the inside from the 10. That's Byron Pierce.
A good job to get down to the apex is the Australian. However, rocketing off the corner is the car now on the outside, and so Schweiker holds strong in the mostly white Cup car. Back up the inside for Byron Pierce. You can roll your speed through, mount the curb, as long as you don't really straddle too much and unsettle the car, as we've seen through the years in some of these special events that iRacing has hosted at this track. GT3 cars running into the sunset and into the night. Now 20 odd seconds these drivers away from the race lead. Part of that, of course, is the pace of Dane Warren, but the continued mistakes and fighting do not help either.
That's the car straight on.
Yeah, Cooper Prout, I think, made me pause as well.
Yeah, that's a big slowdown penalty that Prout will get there. Has served it already, but drops back, way back from that gaggle of 5 cars. So Prout, big mistake into the chicane. Look to the inside! Oh, that's a very forceful move. But nicely done from Schweiker. Nicely done there. Worth pointing out, Anandai is onto pit road, has got a mechanical warning flag.
So at least one driver having to return to pit lane. That is required. Around the outside, Byron Pierce losing out slightly. It holds the inside through the next part. It's a couple of drivers that have made plenty of opportunist moves. Corey Lazarus makes one there on Leela Sen. However, Jae-hee Han, he's 11 spots up today. Byron Pierce was +9, but now he's in the grass and seemingly done.
Is that a failure? Is that going to be a wheel failure, I wonder? Because the car, when it was sat there in the grass there, the wheels seem to be just pointing hard in one direction. So I don't know what's happened there, but certainly I think that's pretty much game over. Oh no, Pierce has got running again.
Oh, he's done the old unplug it and plug it back in again. That's not the latest One Direction song. That's just the directions for troubleshooting, as anybody.
Now you're showing your age with One Direction.
No, it's just right there, though. All behind Hugo Allen, by the way. The fight inside of the top 10 is brewing. Hudson Hughes down to 6. Charlie Jameson, Yusheng Hong, Wu Yu Cheng, and Xavier Kane, all separated by about 3 seconds for the time being. Charlie Jameson, you're right on board with him in the 07 Racing number 23 out of New Zealand. Another one of the young generation making strides into the big show.
Yeah, Jameson. I mean, we saw and we spoke to Charlie last time out. That we saw what he can do behind the wheel of this Porsche, and he's showing it again up one place from where he started, and is not afraid to make some moves. So if you're Hudson Hughes, you're trying to stem the bleeding here, having lost 3 spots from that 3rd place on the grid. And Hudson just wants to try and salvage whatever he can.
Hudson said he was excited for Suzuka, but struggling a bit the deeper that we get. Started, like many, Hudson did on the F1 games. This was the beginning of the journey through sim racing. But like so many during COVID pandemic, made his strides into the world of slightly more competitive sim racing. Out of the hairpin, Jameson looks over the rear view mirror to see the closing Yushen Huang. Another one of the drivers, by the way, who brings in real world experience, Paul. He's done plenty of racing in China in various GT machinery, including Lamborghini Super Trofeo last year. So for someone like Jameson, 13 years of age, I always say it's a great place the sim, to compete against some of those real-world names, and really prove to yourself and to those around you you've got what it takes to compete.
Yeah, it's a heck of a proving ground for these drivers, and a lot of these drivers are at a very young age as well. I mean, you're talking about drivers having the Formula 1 games as their first ones. My first sim racing title was a Formula 1 game as well, but it was called Grand Prix Circuit from 1988. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, it's amazing to see just how people can come on, can progress, and to really get themselves to a highly competitive level, like you get here in these Porsche Esports championships, and even like the sort of national championships as well. They're run at a really high level. I just think of like the Porsche Sprint Challenge GP Esports series. There's the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup in Great Britain. There's the North America Carrera Cup as well, isn't there? And a few other regions that they have the Esports Championship. So the level that Porsche have supported sim racing and esports, and the level of talent you have to compete in these series is absolutely a high bar.
Pyramid kind of now resembles the real world in many ways, right? With the Sprint Challenge in some regions being the first step. You then get to the Esports Carrera Cups, and then the Esports Supercup. And after that, much like in the real world, the Porsche Junior program, similar sort of funnel being built there. Decent roll off the corner. Huang was one of the top qualifiers coming out of the global open qualifier portion of the championship. Relatively easy to now pull alongside into 130R. These drivers know that fighting is going to cost them a bit more with 8 minutes left to go. Charlie Jameson, very young driver, but wise shoulders there to slot back into line and, as much as he's touching up the back bumper, get through the corner without too much trouble.
Yeah, that was very much old head on young shoulders, that is for sure, from Charlie Jameson. We've got a car round, that's 31, and that is going to be Ji-hee Han. Having issues there, the South Korean at the chicane, and that's brought in Aiden Schweikart and Corey Lazarus battle towards him.
Ji-hee Han looking to be one of the first South Korean, iRacing pro drivers. There's been plenty of quick South Korean sim racers though. Young-chan Kim in particular, one that stands out in my mind. He was racing at the ADAC Nürburgring 24 a couple of months ago. Oh, there's how Ji-hee found himself spun around. Spun around was Corey Lazarus as well, as they slink up through the S's. Now, I'm pretty sure that was a self-inflicted moment as you begin the left, the climb up in towards the Degners. See what happened here.
Yeah, getting caught up in the car behind, and just the slightest. What's happened there is he's had to sort of get on to sort of lift off the throttle. It moves the pitch of the car. He's got into the back of the car in front whilst he's got steering lock in. Easily loses control of the car and drops those few spots. That's going to be a bit of a recovery drive for Lazarus. It's not been the qualification series that Lazarus would have wanted. It's been a very testing time, hasn't it?
No, and running out of time to turn things around. Adelaide next up. That's going to be unforgiving. No margin for error. And then over to Okayama and Phillip Island. Oh, one of my favourite tracks on iRacing to close out this Asia-Pacific Regional Championship. I would argue Phillip Island is still going to offer passing opportunities, but Adelaide in particular, we know just how difficult that will be for our drivers in 2 weeks' time. 6 minutes left to go, or just shy of that. 3 laps or so for Dane Warren. Still 2 seconds in front of Cooper Webster with the Falcon Sim Racing pair of Damon Woods and Cody Deeth on the hunt behind. Hugo Allen backing up the performance from a couple of weeks ago. He sits in 5th, with Hudson Hughes holding on to 6th position as the tyres continue to fall away from them. Track temperature has started to cool off slightly as well, Paul, so it's actually helping maybe some of these drivers who were a bit too aggressive in the early stages.
Yeah, that will help matters, just having that little bit of cool off of the track temperature. And for Charlie Jameson, very early get up for him down there in New Zealand. Just coming up to, just gone past 20 to 9 in the morning down there in New Zealand. So yeah, bit of an early start, because you want to get on a little bit earlier and get some last minute practice in and make sure that everything's running right. The last thing you want to do is wake up at the last minute, jump on, and then realise that you've got a problem with, say, like your pedals or something like that. So you have to get yourself a process, don't you? And that's what some of the very top drivers do, aren't they? They get a process that works for them. As a mistake for the 26, and that's going to be change of position then.
My routine for commentating on the Porsche AR Box Carrera Cup ages, I connect to everything before I go to sleep and then wake up at 2 a.m. and hope everything's still connected. Off the track once again, it has been a physical race today. For, isn't that still?
Yeah, it's a lap car. Why, Sean, is a lap car got a black flag as well, and it's around in front of some of your top drivers, some of your big pack there.
That was in front of Xavier Kane. Good spot. I just assumed that was one of the battles. He's lost the rear wing. There's only one choice right now. Head back to pit lane. Byron Pierce and Mikkel Pirinen battling for 23rd. No real points on offer for them at this point with 3 minutes left to go, but stay out of trouble. Might be something left to pick up.
I'll tell you what, if you're those Xavier Kane and those around him, that's the last thing they would have wanted to have seen. But fighting, when you're a lap down, fighting with those that are not on the same lap as you, that are involved in their own fight, I think that's a little bit of racecraft needs to be learnt there, perhaps. It's a testing experience in something this competitive. Had been on pit road once already, but yeah, I think has taken the car back onto pit road now.
2.5 minutes left to go. White flag next time by for Dane Warren. Wanda Esports have found something, that's for sure. With Verstappen Sim Racing and Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing combination have closed the gap between weeks 1 and 2, and now time between weeks 2 and 3 for us to see if the gap is going to shrink even further. The turnaround between the end of these regional championships and the start of the Porsche Esports Supercup is not very big either, so everything that these drivers are learning has to carry forward, no question about that. Back up to 130R for the penultimate time. All that fighting cost some of these drivers a little bit. And Josh Zhang, hot on the heels of Kashira Tamai with the white flag in hand.
It's comfortable, isn't it? It's comfortable again for Dane at the front here. I wonder if he's going to like this track. He wasn't too happy with Fuji last time, was he? Are we at a track that he actually likes this week? We'll have to wait and see, but again, Dane Warren puts it on pole position, has led every lap, has the fastest lap of the race as well. If this was Grand Prix racing, that'd be the Grand Chelem with that.
I think for Dane, he's probably not going to be excited until next week, back on home soil. Although even about Adelaide, he said Bathurst would have been a better pick. So, you know, that's just Dane for you, always looking to try and find something more. These drivers behind, Josh Zhang in particular, looking for 12th position with half a lap left to go. Heading to Adelaide, I think Dane Warren is going to be excited though. Two-time Supercar Z Series champion. He knows what to do over the bumps of a street circuit. Cooper Webster's raced Macau in the real world though. Does that experience play to fruit? We'll have to find out in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be 3 seconds or so, the margin by the time they get to the line, based on how Warren continues to charge at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's been the best part of 0.2 of a second per lap faster than Cooper Webster. I think he's maybe just been taking it a little bit easy on this lap. Watch it, he'll go and set the fastest lap of the race now that I've said that. Through 130R, just needs to keep it mistake-free into the end of the lap.
Dane Warren with 3 sprint and main victories in his Porsche Esports Supercup career. It's ready to add to those totals. Already now 2 in the regional championships here as Coanda Esports once more reigns supreme in the Asia-Pacific region. The defending champ Cooper Webster punches in a pretty solid response. Second on the board with Damon Woods, Cody Deeth making it a decent showing for the Falcon Sim Racing Giro as well. Will there be a drag race to the line as Josh Zhang tries to drop out of the Casio Triangle and get the jump on Koshiro Tamai? Runs a pretty short run to the timing line and runs just out of time. Jae-hee Han ends up dropping into 14th. Up 10 places from where he started. And Paul, what was a pretty action-packed race here at Suzuka?
Action-packed, again a bit physical, a bit more physical than our European races. So, we saw plenty of action out there. But Dane Warren and Coanda Esports, again, just superb stuff. And Cooper Webster giving a little bit of the bumps there to celebrate. Say congratulations.
Drinking the Mobile One winning moment, and hopefully he's somewhat excited to talk to you, Paul. I'd be excited to talk to you, especially so after making it effectively a perfect round 2. His last lap wasn't quite the fastest of the race, but within 2/10 he was managing things all the way through, and no doubt about his supremacy. Trilux move for the race. Well, pick your poison here. There's plenty from which to work, but I think ultimately the fight between the couple sweeping through the opening sector, likely to take the cake, Hudson Hughes and Hugo Allen. Hughes out wide. Door open for the auto moves number 4 to slip through. Don't need to tell Hugo Allen twice. The 22-year-old takes advantage up into the S's.
Great stuff. Fantastic moves. That's what we like to see, isn't it? A bit of gutsy stuff through the S's there.
Confirmation of our results. Pretty big margins through the top 10 as Warren, Webster, Woods and Deeth pulled away at the front. Allen, Hughes, Wang, Jameson, Yu Cheng Wu and Xavier Kane, your top 10. Hudson Hughes lost 3 spots. Outside of that, no real big losers in the top 10. Eric Shaw, Koshiro Tamai in front of Josh Zhang. Jae-hee Han, 10 spots gained from his lack of qualifying time. Some work to do next time to avoid that same pain. Aiden Schweikart drops in behind with Lee Sen Lee, Kazawa Haruki, and then Cooper Prout, Corey Lazarus, and Ethicit Clanchui, the rest of the top 20. Michael Velasquez, Darrell Brady, Byron Pierce, Mika Purinen, Bradley Setters, Wei Zhong, and Chandramali Anandan. All of those that saw the green flag. Unfortunately, not all seeing the checkered flag. A bit more trouble here and there. Dane Warren still cruising around the track. He's apparently enjoyed Suzuka so much that he wanted to practice the trip down onto pit lane, but no rest for him. He's standing by with Paul Smith.
Well, Dane, that's 2 from 2. Pretty much perfect start to the season. Of course, led every lap. Pole position once again. Fastest lap as well. You can't ask for much better, really, can you?
Probably not. It's going pretty well at the moment. I'm gonna pick the absolute shit out of my own driving, but I mean the results don't really lie. And from what I heard, the Euro guys did really well as well. So yeah, we're killing it at the moment.
Well, first of all, apologies for the industrial language there, but let's move on then, because Adelaide next time out. Apparently you'd have preferred Bathurst, so is it somewhere that you feel confident with a Porsche Cup car? I mean, you've really got to attack some of those curbs, especially at the start of the lap, haven't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I prefer Bathurst over Adelaide. I reckon Suzuka over Bathurst. Bathurst over Suzuka would have been better, but I think Adelaide would be a really interesting place because it really will lean heavily on the setup, I think. And it'll be like one of the real outlier places on the calendar that we'll just see which team knows the most about the car. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. It's going to be a nice challenge.
Well, Dane, congratulations. Enough a pole position, enough a perfect race, and a win in the books. There we go. That's Dane Warren then joining us from the winner's circle. We'll actually speak to the driver who got move of the race here, and that's Hugo Allen. Hugo, we've said that you got the overtake of the race with that move through turn 2 and into the S's on Hudson Hughes. I mean, talk us through that race. You gained 2 places from where you started.
Yeah, to be honest, struggled quite a bit, to be fair. Suzuka's never been one of our best tracks. So, yeah, it's just, I guess, it's one of those races where you just have to finish again in the top 8 and just keep racking up points so that we can keep moving forward. So that's positive that we made some moves. But, yeah, I think every time I run in this series with this really stiff competition, you just keep learning. So we'll just keep chipping away and learning new stuff as we go, and hopefully we can put some better stuff together for the next round.
You told us in our pre-season information pack that Adelaide is a track that you're looking forward to. Well, we're off there next, so how are you looking for that one?
Well, I guess we'll find out when we get there, because I was feeling pretty decent for this one, and we were sort of well off a pace. So we've got some work to do, but I do enjoy that track, and it's probably one of the more raced tracks these days, especially with the Australian guys. So we'll see how we go, but I'm looking forward to it. So just quick thanks to all my team, Jordan, Auto Moves, Sim Blacks, and all the guys that support the team. Just real privileged to be part of it. So we're moving forward in quite a big way with the team. So it's cool to be part of it.
Well, all the best for next time out, and well done on the top 5 result here today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
There goes Hugo Allen, and then we will get to speak to our 2025 Porsche Esports Supercup champion and second place driver in this race, Cooper Webster. Cooper, that's 2 races, 2 second places. That pesky Coanda car just seemed to have a bit of pace today again.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Dane's been a bit of a pain, just driving away from me in the last 2 races. It's a bit annoying, but it's all good. We know we've got some things to work on. Obviously, I think the guys in the European region as well struggled a little bit too. So, we just got to regroup and come together and try to figure out what's the reason why our pace is lacking.
But looking at this, I mean, it's been a pretty much a really good, solid start to this qualification process for you now in these regional championship. It puts you on a good footing now, going into Adelaide, where it could maybe throw a curveball. Could that track, couldn't it? With it being a street circuit, is that something that you're just happy to have those points in the bank now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it takes a lot of the pressure and the stress off the rest of the season. Now having 2 good results, and like you say, especially for Adelaide, it's a bit more unpredictable. Like the first chicane can throw up anything, and with the grid spots starting even rather than staggered, it's a bit more chaotic. So that part is good. The main thing is I get through this qualifying series and then into the main championship where the real points fought for.
Absolutely. Well, go well in 2 weeks' time. All the best, Cooper Webster.
Thank you, guys.
Did you notice, Arjuna, the one person who did it right was Hugo in getting all of his thanks and sponsors in?
Oh, we'd love to see it. Don't even need to media train them when they come to us ready to go. Here's a look at the provisional points. Not expecting too much changing inside of the front 8, I would say, from our race control team. However, just 5 now between Jae-hee Han and Xavier Kane. 8 drivers to punch their ticket to the big show, and only 3 races left to go. Next time out, streets of Adelaide beckon for these drivers. So join us on the iRacing Esports Network on the Porsche Twitch channel August 1st, roughly 8 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. Eastern for all of that, and a couple of different opinions from the drivers as to the level of excitement and readiness about this race, especially compared to what they told us pre-season.
Yeah, we're going to call out Dane for what he told us pre-season, but Adelaide. It's going to test these drivers. It's a different style of track. It's a street circuit. You've got the walls close together. Get involved in an incident, and you could well end up with somebody who started towards the rear suddenly getting themselves a really good point stay.
And so Okayama, Phillip Island to round out the season after that. But 2 chapters ridden, 3 to go in these regional championships of the road to the Porsche Esports Supercup. Once again, Koan Esports figured something out early and continue their winning ways. But plenty of racing still left to go. 32 drivers hungry for it all. Adjudicating party Paul Smith with Hugo Luis and Iku Maricala behind the scenes on production, bringing you the action. See you in 2 weeks' time to continue the show.